Hello and welcome to Hare in the Hawthorn. Me and Neil are back. It's a very, very quick one today, and it's one where we're putting out an appeal. We're looking for your help with a research project that we're doing for a specific thing, but we're looking at a wider context. I know that's really convoluted, but for those who watch the channel will know that both myself and Neil are involved in a research project that is being carried out around the case of a Woollerton gnome. So you can watch that video that's further down. We talk about it quite a bit. So that's been alongside people like Dr. Simon Young, who we've interviewed, who's further down as well, and the extraordinary Dan Green, who's further down. They were involved and still are involved in that project. So we need your help.
We do indeed, Kate. That was seamless, wasn't it?
Absolutely.
People think we don't do any rehearsals for that, and in most cases, they'd be right. But so, Kate has sort of explicated what the base of the project at Woollerton, but we want to extend it a little bit over the coming months into a more I was going to say holistic. That's not really what I mean. I mean a wider divergence of input of people with stories or anecdotes or testimonies, whatever you want to call it, of fairy encounters in or around the Nottingham area. Because, as most of you know, Woollerton Park is on the edge of Nottingham. And although that is where our research is focused, we also want to extend that to Nottingham in general. And we've already been doing a little bit of detective work and finding out some stories, some remarkably similar to the Woollerton Gnome story from 1979. And so we are hoping that some people will be prompted by this. I know Kate's put something out on Facebook asking for people's encounters with anything that you might think of as being a fairy. Now, that's a wide divergence of what would generally be termed, the overall cast of that will be a non-human intelligent entity. Or you could say non-human intelligent spirit. So that more or less encompasses any kind of paranormal activity that involves an entity encounter. We're probably steering clear of what would usually be thought of as ghosts, although, as we've been finding out over the recent years, and I've certainly been writing about it, that taxonomy of fairies can sometimes include what we would usually think of as ghost encounters. But anyway, this is just a call to arms for people to get in touch below this video, or you can contact Kate or me directly, just to tell us of any experiences that you may have had firsthand and even third-hand experiences. If you've heard someone talk about this and you've got their permission, perhaps you could tell us about that. Now, just to clarify on the interpretation of fairies, because the Woollerton project is very much around a certain type of fairy type. It's around a fairy type that usually go by the name of gnomes, and everyone knows what a gnome looks like. It's a very distinct taxonomy, but we're working on the assumption that they are just one type of fairy entity. And so don't be hung up if you think, well, it looks nothing like a gnome. I've read all about the Woollerton gnomes and the children's description. That's not what it looks like. Don't worry about that. If it's any kind of paranormal experience that involves non-human intelligent entities, spirits, we want to know about it.
Yeah, and that certainly doesn't have to be something that people have physically seen. That can be anything from encounters of orbs or anomalies within the atmosphere, for instance. That could be that you've heard something that you have felt something. It doesn't have to be the physicality of contact with those things. Now, we can keep this anonymous. So that you can contact us directly for that. If you don't want to drop something in the comments, I know that people do like to keep these encounters quite private, and that's perfectly fine, but it's going to really help with our research to look across Nottinghamshire as a whole to see what kind of things are going off, if there's any correlations between sightings of fairies or aliens that kind of marry up and join up with other phenomena that's going off. I do know of one account, again, it's in one of the videos below, where a gentleman spoke about actually being in Woollerton and in broad daylight seeing quite a large orb that had a presence that felt like it was sentient. So, even if you feel as though it maybe not be fairy in the sense that it's generally understood, but you couldn't categorize it, or it felt very, very odd or very, very strange, it could be something that you put down as a time slip. It could be something that you saw that you couldn't quite figure out whether it was an animal, a noise that you've heard, or music that you've heard that you've not been able to pinpoint. That's the kind of thing we're really looking to hear from you about. And it could be those very, very strange encounters that we have that we put down as ghosts or spirits of the dead, but just didn't quite fit that kind of feel about it, that it felt very different. So it doesn't matter whether you're a paranormal investigator, you're out there all the time doing this thing, or whether you've just seen pixies at the bottom of your garden as a child, or whether your grandmother used to tell you stories at bedtime about her encounters with the Fae. If you live in Nottinghamshire, have lived in Nottinghamshire, know people from the county, or have just visited and had a strange experience, really, really great to hear from you. So I can be contacted via my Facebook page. It's Kate Ray Paranormal. That's the easiest way to contact me. How do we contact you, Neil?
That's a very good question. You've caught me out there. To be honest, the best way is to email me. That's neilrushton13@hotmail.com, and that and just send me an email, and I'll hitch up with Kate, and we'll put them all together.
Brilliant. And we'll be grateful for all that we receive. Again, it will be anonymous unless we get the okay from you to go forward and use your name in this research. And do know that this is definitely going to go to a bigger body of work. So it's going to be really interesting.
That's right. And although we've been saying, obviously, we want things from a wider area in Nottingham and Nottinghamshire, our central focus, the epicenter of this, is Woollerton Park. So if there are any testimonies of experiences at Woollerton Park, we would be laser focused in on them. It would be really great to expand the number, the increasing number of Woollerton Park experience reports that we have. That it would be really nice to get some more, even if those are memories from 30 years ago, or whether it was yesterday. That doesn't really matter. We would be delighted to get any of those sent to us.
Brilliant. So we're looking forward to hearing your stories, and we'll be back soon very soon with a new guest. And thank you very much again all for watching and staying with us.